My medical costs are slowly draining my ability to reach FIRE, which is essentially an early retirement plan. A lot of things have just dramatically changed for me with being diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. Some of those changes that I've made pretty abruptly is I went from having one traditional healthcare provider to having, okay, I have an internal medicine provider, I have a neurologist now, a cardiologist, let's see, a GI doc, um, an OBGYN. So that's five providers now that are all running a wide range of tests. And so I see those providers, so that takes time out of my schedule. Normally, that I would be scheduling clients. That takes energy. Just having one of those provider appointments significantly impacts my ability to work a regular caseload because I have to have time to get there. I have to have time for the appointment. And then they usually want me to go for blood work. And so I'm usually having some sort of a specialist appointment at least every other week. In the beginning of this process, it was going on once a week. I was seeing somebody. Internal medicine, I was seeing internal medicine probably every 2 to 3 weeks, just because in the very beginning we were trying to figure out, like, hey, what's going on? So, in addition to making those appointments, being available for all of the tests and things, and some of those things, as those of you may already know, like you can't eat food the morning of it. So, it was throwing off like my morning routine just in terms of how I take care of myself, which also just affects my energy. So, which just also affects my caseload and how many clients that I can see in a day. So, as I take a look at how an autoimmune disorder being, having a chronic illness, something that's not going to go away, if I just, oh, if you just, get your numbers at such and such level, then all of a sudden this will go away. That's not my experience. And so I've really had to take a look at, like, okay, how do I do work differently? How do I do life differently? Because this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. I'm not going to be able to reach FIRE like I need it, like I had in my initial goal. Um, Also, I'm taking a look at, like, okay, I can't even contribute to my retirement account in the way that I normally would, just because not only am I seeing less people now, but I'm also at a place where I have more expenses. So, I'm doing more of those expensive exams that, I have health insurance, thankfully. So health insurance covers quite a bit of that. Um, but in terms of paying those copays for the exams, I don't want to be in debt. So I'm using that extra money that I would have put aside for retirement to pay for those things out of pocket. Other things that I'm paying for out of pocket is I have a regular routine in terms of, like, these are the supplements that I usually take every day just for maintenance. I've had to move more towards this sounds extreme, not like my moderate distress coping plan, but more of kind of like a crisis coping plan in terms of my supplements. Thankfully, emotionally, I've not been in crisis, but medically speaking, I've had times where I've been in crisis. And so I've had to take some time, whereas I'm paying more for supplements than I would normally. Also, I'm noticing that my kids, they're at places where they're experiencing more stressors and things. So they're at places where they're needing a little bit of boost in terms of supplements. And so I'm almost sure that some of the stress and the changes that my body is going through is also affecting them, even though I've made the choice not to be super explicit in terms of, like, all the details of what's going on with me and my body with them. I'm kind of giving them just information that's just enough to know, like, hey, daddy's going to pick you up today. I won't be able to pick you up today because I will be at a doctor's appointment. I'm okay. I'm not in the hospital, but I'm at a doctor's appointment. So those little changes in routine and things like that, it does add stress on my kids. So their maintenance supplements that they would normally take, I've had to bump them up to, like, more of like a moderate distress plan for them as well, just so that their bodies are able to kind of move and go along with the flow as our family is experiencing so many changes. So when I take a look at supplements alone, I'm thinking, we're spending around maybe $200 a month as a household to now getting closer towards $400 a month just on supplements alone. And I'm one of those people that I know that probably sounds extreme for a lot of folks. Like, what kind of supplements are you taking? Are you taking gold? Like, what are you taking? Are you taking silver? I'm not. But I'm a firm believer that that with supplements you get what you pay for. And so the supplements that I take are ones that have a lot of quality controls in them, a lot of the ones that are not going to add all those really strange fillers and dyes and things that my body has actually felt and seen a difference. The same thing for my kids. Like I don't buy the ones that, you can get, at any drugstore or major market someplace. I'm getting them from suppliers that are high quality suppliers so that I know what I'm putting in my body and I know what I'm putting in my kid's body. I know probably a lot of you have seen some of those shows. I think like 60 Minutes did a thing. I think a handful of other people did some of those shows that go behind the scenes in some of these supplements. A lot of these multivitamins, they contraindicate each other so that you can't take them at the same time. You're not getting the absorption rate that you would. So I've done a lot of research and a lot of training in terms of supplements. And so I want to make sure that what I'm putting in my body, I'm putting good things in my body. I'm putting good things in my kid's body. And I do see it as an investment in our health. And so thankfully, I'm only on two traditional medications, but I am taking a lot of supplements. The meds that I'm taking, thankfully, my insurance company is covering most of it. Out of pocket, if my insurance company was not covering most of it, it would be over $15,000 every other month. So again, autoimmune disorders, they're expensive. Stress is expensive. Being able to manage what your body needs, it does take more time and more energy, and time is expensive. So I'm in the process of trying to figure out like, okay, need to shift gears here, got to pause. How much that I'm putting away in terms of retirement. I need to invest right now in my health because that is going to be the best investment for me at this point. Keep the money that I have in retirement, make sure that I don't go into debt. So these are just some of those early financial decisions that I'm making for myself and for my family. Um, for you and your situation, you might have a very different situation. I've sat and worked with folks who said, not only am I not able to contribute to my retirement account, I'm taking money out of my retirement account. I'm really, really grateful and thankful that I'm not in that position where I have to take money out of retirement to be able to take care of my current health. And so, why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this because a lot of times when you take a look at autoimmune disorders, whether you've been diagnosed for a long time or you're recently diagnosed, just like me, you do have to change some things around. And as you're changing some things around, it's important to not make rash decisions, but find out like, okay, how can I get the most bang for my buck here? How can I make sure that I'm taking time to invest in what's actually important for me and for my life? One of the other things that I've taken a lot of time just investing in, besides my health, besides, sorry, besides how I'm also spending my money, is I'm also taking some time to make sure that I'm investing my time very differently. And so I'm okay, with seeing less people. I'm okay with taking more time so that, when I have a doctor's appointment, I'm going to go see a specialist, that after I get my blood work and do whatever else they've asked me to do, then I can go sit down at my favorite place to just sit down and have a cup of tea and just to drink and to just move slower, that I'm allowing myself to do that. For some folks, they might be like, well, nope, you got to stay on track in terms of, your financial plan. I've talked with my financial planners and just have sat down and just made some decisions and said, I get that. I believe that investing in retirement is important. And and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to keep those investments intact. So, what I want to also make sure is that I'm doing the best that I can with the resources that I have in the season that I'm in. And so, hopefully, this message is, this speaks to somebody else who's in a position where they're like, okay, what do I do with my money now? What do I do with the resources that I have, the time that I have in the day? Am I going to continue to work hard, hustle, burn it at both ends? Or am I going to take some time, slow down, take a look at how I'm spending my time, take a look at how I'm spending my money? The other thing that I'm also taking some more time and investing in is I'm also investing more in my marriage. And so when I say investing more in my marriage, if I'm having a day where I'm dizzier or I have lower energy or my blood pressure just dropped dramatically, if I'm in one of those days where my health is not where it's at, I want to make sure that I'm doing things to also invest in my relationship. And so some of those things that I do to just invest in my husband is making sure that he's not having to think about what's for dinner, even when I'm not well. And so last night we were trying. We've had so many things that have been up in the air, and bought some things for dinner on Sunday. And I was looking for those things last night to cook, and it's Wednesday, and I could not find the things. And I was like, "Where is this? Where is this? Where is this? Like, we just bought this stuff. Where is it? Where is it?" Everybody's looking. We have two refrigerators. Look in the refrigerators. We don't see it. I'm like, can we check the vehicle? And so my husband actually went out to the vehicle. There was the bag of the groceries that I needed. And so I wasn't able to cook. And so he's like, okay, well, I'll just hurry up. I'll go to the store. I'll get all the things. And I'm like, some of those things you would have to travel across town. And so I just made a decision at that point to just order in. And so he was like, what are you doing? What are we gonna do? And I said, look, just go take a shower. I'm gonna figure it out. Don't worry about it. And so by the time, I just let my husband, instead of having him drive to different stores one way across town just so I could cook dinner, which was still going to take more time. I actually just told him, I was like, hey, why don't you just take some time, get a shower in. I'll be fine. My energy was kind of tanking by that point in time. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I knew that even if he went to go get things, I was not going to be in a position to cook. He also did not know how to cook. I also did not want to have to go through all the directions on how to make that specific dish. So it made more sense for my family to order out. And so we actually had food delivered for dinner last night. And so I made sure that I ordered enough, not only for dinner, but I also made sure that I ordered enough for my kids to pack their lunches the next day so that we had something already for us. So that takes money. That takes money. And so I want to make sure that I am investing in my marriage in terms of not adding unnecessary stressors to my husband. I would rather pay the extra money. I think I paid probably like $150. Whereas if I could have just made this dish at home, which is so much cheaper, right? We know this. We know eating out is expensive. If I could have just made the dish at home, it would have been less than $50. And there would have been enough food for everybody to have eaten for dinner, and then also to have enough food for leftovers, for the next day, for lunches, and possibly maybe even one or two more servings for somebody. Like if, you know, a day later or something, they still wanted the same dish. That $50 was enough for that. I ended up spending about almost $150. So that's $100 more than I would normally spend if I was at a place that I was more well. So I'm bringing all this up just to say that when you have an autoimmune disorder, especially if you've been recently diagnosed, you're at a place where you have to make some different choices. And if you're a financial advisor that's taking a look outside of that situation, it can be hard to say, why are you spending this extra $500 on this stuff when you could be investing it? And I get that. There's time and place for everything in life, though. And so I just want to encourage you, whoever you are, wherever you are, when you're taking a look at your investments, that you take a look not only at your time, you take a look at your energy, you take a look at your your finances, but also take a look at your relationships. What is it going to cost? How can I invest with the energy that I have? What is the best decision for me right now during this season? So, if you would like to take, I have a relationship quiz that's available on my website. The relationship quiz is just kind of giving you a little bit of an idea in terms of where's my relationship right now. And so this is for romantic relationships, romantic partnered relationships. Taking that assessment is like a little quiz, and it's literally like 2 minutes long. It's on my website, moonrisingllc.com, and it's on the offerings page. It also should be available down in the description box below, so you can find it that way so that you can kind of start to make some decisions just like I'm making in terms of my finances, my time, my energy. I want for you to be able to do that as well so that you can make the best decisions for yourself and for your family. So, thank you for this time with me. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.